Welcome to A Drop of Happy, where we focus on carefree, stress well, light and lively living while reviewing and discussing all things entertainment and wellness. And I have something intertwined. Well, it's always a little intertwined. Anyway, I am your host, Wanda Toby, and this is the podcast arm to my blog, lightv.com. So please check it out, lightv.com. And I have been watching Alex Cross. Only on episode 5. Not going to give away any spoilers. This is not an Alex Cross review. Although, what this is a conversation about grief, about one of the top stressors that exist. And it has to do with episode 4. So I'm not going to give away anything, right? But my fellow widows and widowers, and people who have lost a partner, I think being that it's so common, because being a widow, like, unfortunately, people lose spouses and significant others all the time. So, being that it is so common, sometimes the trigger warnings are not a thing for us. So, things happen in movies and shows all the time that could have us feeling some type of way, right? Again, I'm not going to give the whole episode 4 away. This is just a really small part in it, very small part. But it's not a secret that Alex Cross has lost his spouse, his wife, and he is working on his grief a year later. Okay? So that's not a secret, not giving away. This, of course, is complicated by the fact that he is sort of kind of being stalked with details of his wife's murder. So naturally, as he's working through, and if you have lost a spouse or a significant other, a partner, a year is like a drop in the bucket. A year is nothing. To other people, it may seem like it's a long time, but when you're going through it, a year is like the blink of an eye. So this is a year later. So of course his grieving process is complicated by the fact that somebody's straight stalking him with details of his wife's murder. What? Uh, so of course it's more difficult. But nevertheless, his family is trying to get him to heal. And this is when I get in a little of my feelings. And this is when, rightfully so, you might get in your feelings. So, of course, everyone handles things their own way and handles grief their own way. Not saying there's a prescription, not saying if somebody ends up getting married or appears on the outside to be moving on 3 months, 6 months later. We don't know, especially it depends on, you know, the situation surrounding the death. I think sudden death, traumatic death is very much different, a little different healing process as opposed to somebody who was sick, or maybe somebody who you had time to prepare in a way, in a sense, because you can never be 100% prepared for something like that, right? But in those cases, it's a little, the healing process is a little different. Keep in mind, it's a little different for everybody. So there's no prescription or judgment on how people heal. Regardless, a year, however you're feeling, whatever it may look like on the outside, a year is, again, to somebody going through it, is really a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. Um, and of course, one of the things is his partner is trying to get him to go to therapy, which I think is fair because he lost his spouse in a traumatic way. I mean, really, a lot of people should be going to therapy after they lose a loved one. So I really can't fault his partner for trying to get him there, because it does appear that he's spiraling. It appears that Cross is spiraling. So I don't blame him. The one part that I really took issue with, was them essentially forcing him to go to a family event that he clearly said he didn't want to go to. Of course, they handled the whole situation a different way because it's TV, Cole. It's TV. So, but for me personally, and maybe for some people out there, as someone who's been through it, who's been through a traumatic loss, it was partially realistic, but missing some behind the scene nuances. Okay? So let me set up the situation. Okay? Again, this is a very small part of the episode, so it's not a major spoiler, but the family gets together, maybe it's once a year, and they do a karaoke night. The whole family. So it would be him, his wife, two kids, his friends. I think that's his auntie or whatever. So a small little group, they get together. So he's like, I don't want to go. I'm not ready to do that. All I'll be thinking about is that my wife's not there, because she was singing, she played piano, she was very involved. So he's seeing this new chick. And he basically he says this line that I thought was really, this little exchange that I thought was really good. But basically he's like, look, you want me to break down? I'm not ready to do it. You know. Okay. So the I think it's his aunt or his grandma, no, his aunt or something. So she's like, all right, she leaves it alone. So then the girlfriend's like, oh, I have a surprise for you. I'm gonna take you out somewhere. This made me want to cuss. So she's blindfolded. She blindfolded him. The girlfriend now, she blindfolded him and took him to the event. When I tell you how pissed me personally I would have been, on the inside, on the inside. Let me say this again, on the inside. The reason why I say that, there's several layers to this, okay? The reason why I say that is because he has little kids and the whole family's there. So basically, they put him on the spot, and the girlfriend put him on the spot. One, I think that was mad disrespectful on her part, because how you over here inserting yourself in something the man used to do with his spouse, and he told his family he's not ready for that type of situation, and you are going there thinking, what were you thinking? Okay, that, that was distasteful, and maybe I'm just being sensitive, maybe it was just a trigger for me, but I was like, what? So okay, so now he goes, right, and he's having a good time. Here's where I say, maybe it partially was realistic, but there's some nuances that I feel like they left out. So he goes, he's laughing, he's kikiing, he's having a good time. Let me tell you something. A year later, I will tell you what we are as experts in is faking the goddamn funk. Okay? Because one, he's there. He doesn't want to make a scene. He doesn't want to disappoint the kids since they put him on the damn spot. So he's going to kiki, ha ha, whatever, whatever. It's going to seem like he's having a great time. Now, something else happened in the movie, in the TV show. So I'm not going to give that away, but we're just going to keep going with this scenario. Like, for example, if it was me, or if it was you, or if it was a family member that you put them on the spot. If there's other feelings, and if they're like a empathetic person or what have you, they are going to fake the funk. Like I would have faked the funk. And I might have been enjoying myself. Let's be for real. But inside, probably pissed. And then struggling not to cry, struggling to be this person that y'all want me to be, right? Struggling because, of course, we don't want to make it uncomfortable for anybody else. So we are going to fake the funk and put, and a year into it is one thing we're good at doing is faking the funk so other people don't feel comfortable because we are still dealing with the loss. Okay? So that is happening. But inside, most likely a good number of us, I know that would have been me because I was in that situation plenty of times where I didn't want to be the Debbie Downer of the party. I didn't want to whatever. So I pretended like I was okay. That is what would happen when you put somebody in that situation, when you force somebody to feel emotions that they're not ready to feel or behave in certain ways that they're not ready to behave. And then we are going to secretly cry. Later that night, we're going to be boohoo crying. Or we're going to excuse ourselves to go to the bathroom or go somewhere and cry, then dab, 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 and get back out there. So I hated that. And I know it was just a show and this didn't happen, but in my mind, this is what was happening in my mind. Again, that's not what turned out in the show. But realistically, I just call it a PSA. Don't do that. Don't do that to your loved ones who are healing, who are there. Be there for them. Listen to them. Be encouraging. Like the best friend was just like, listen, man, I think you need to go get therapy, blah, blah, blah. But do not physically force them into a situation where they're going to have to pretend. Now, if I put myself in that situation, that's a different story. Because he might have said yes. He might have been like, yes, I'm going to go. Guess what? He still probably feel that way. But the healing would have been different because he would have put himself in that situation, or me, or what have you. I would have been like, okay, I'm ready for that. So that would have been a little different. But the fact that you forced this, I was so bothered. I was really so bothered because I was thinking, and then, and then, and then, like, you the girlfriend. Honestly, that's a whole nother because let me tell you why that's a whole nother, that might be a whole nother post, a whole nother whatever, because um again, this is TV, and again, everybody is different. I am definitely being anecdotal and drawing upon myself, but and she is very, his girlfriend is gorgeous, beautiful, very sweet, whatever. This is in the show. But I would be very leery of dating somebody who's that out and like expecting something serious. I mean, I would be willing to go with the flow, but I wouldn't like expect much because you don't know where that person is in their healing and dating journey. So really at this point, if you ever with somebody find somebody in that situation, listen to them, pay attention, and if it turns out that, oof, I really hate to say this, that they're just passing the time or using you to heal, some part of you is going to have to be okay with that because that could very well be the case. And that's just something to keep in mind. Um, I kind of hate to say that. It's not a one size fits all. It's not a blanket, but that is just something to keep in mind because of course of course, if this is a person who's feeling you, I would hope you would have a very intimate conversations about that. But I'm just saying, be prepared. This is for man, female, whoever. Be prepared that they might not be ready for what you're ready for, but they might want the companionship, or they might want that whatever you bring out of them, or they just might want to pass the time or something. But y'all should be having that conversation. So it seemed like, they were having that conversation and he's being honest with her and all that stuff. That's just a whole nother little piece of it. But the fact that she sprung that on, I thought that was poorly done. I'm going to be honest. They worked it out in the thing, but in real life, for you to put him in that situation and you are the girlfriend, to be there with his kids, in a situation where his wife may have been, and he already said, "Nah, I'm not really feeling this." I don't know. D- Again, that could just be me. That could just be how I'm feeling. That could just be my trigger warning. But no, because we would be faking the funk. We would be faking the funk. So with that being said, and if you didn't know, loss of a spouse, a partner, significant other is like the top stressful thing that can happen in your life. It is one of the top. Death of a loved one, then of course divorce, that separation is serious. And then of course a traumatic event. So, like myself, losing my spouse was traumatic. It was two rolled in one because it was trauma and it was death of a loved one. So if you got that to deal with, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Then, of course, there's financial problems, and job loss goes right there with financial problems. Chronic illness or injury, very stressful. Emotional problems. Being a caregiver, and this one's fairly new, considering cyberbullying, especially for our youngins, and that's for our youngins cyberbullying, and then of course there is doxing for adults. Yeah. Um. So that loss of a spouse being the toppity top. And for that, I thought, because I always like to be a little helpful, um, I always like to look for articles, and I found some articles. Like, I didn't really like the Psychology Today article, but I did find an article from Vitas. It's called Eight Steps to Healing After the Death of Your Spouse or Partner. And Vitas is a hospice organization. And hospice organizations, I I never got a chance to be a hospice nurse, but I think, if I ever actually had to go back and do floor nursing, I wouldn't mind being a hospice nurse because I really think what they do is amazing and phenomenal and well needed. And hospice is a very well known organization. I mean, Vitas is a very well known hospice organization. And hospice is basically uh, helps you, helps usher somebody who is unwell into death. It's not like a Dr. Kevorkian style, but um, to have to pass with dignity, basically. So the title of the article is Eight Steps to Healing After the Death of Your Spouse or Partner. And I thought these were very helpful. And some of them will hone in the point that I was talking about with what happened to Homeboy. So, few life events are as painful as death of your spouse, wife, or partner. You may be uncertain how you will survive this overwhelming loss or rebuild your life. You may even question if you have the energy or the desire to try. Facts. Facts. I have had these questions in my healing journey. I am quite a few years out in a wonderful place. I'm in a super place, but back then it was not a great place. There are 8 practical suggestions. These are 8 practical suggestions that may help you move towards healing after your spouse or partner passes away. 1. Allow yourself to grieve the loss of your spouse or partner. Your partner has died. If you feel confused, that's okay. You have lost a part of yourself. You are now faced with the difficult but important need to mourn. Mourning and grieving are the open expression of your thoughts and feelings. It is an essential part of healing after loss. And feel the feels. Allow yourself to feel the feelings. And I feel like it has to be said because you're not going to want to feel the feelings. I didn't want to feel the feelings. I was just like, I went to see a counselor and I was like, drug me up. What can you give me? And I had a great counselor and she was like, go sit your ass down. There will be no such thing. And I appreciated that because I didn't really need it. I just, and I wasn't one to self medicate, thank God. Two, grieve in your own way. Hello. Your experience with grief after the loss of your spouse or partner is influenced by the circumstances surrounding the death, other losses you have experienced, your emotional support system, and your cultural and faith background. Don't compare your grieving experience with that of others. Take one day at a time approach that allows you to grieve at your own pace. Hello, clear as day. And people forcing you to do things before you're ready to do things is not part of grieving your own way. Three, talk out your thoughts and feelings. Healing starts when you can share your grief with others. Allow yourself to talk about the death, your feelings of loss and loneliness, and the special things you miss about your partner. This is where the counseling comes in, depending on, again, it depends on the circumstance and things like that. The support system is very a holistic process. But being able to have that conversation and being able to talk it out with somebody, and I think the support groups, the grief, and the counseling is really good because sometimes, crazy as it is, as many people that lose a loved one, lose a significant other, you still be feeling like you alone. You still be feeling like you the only one that's feeling this way. You feel alone and isolated in your grief. So having somebody to talk to, having maybe a support group or anything to be like you're not alone is great. Four, feel a mixture of emotions. Experiencing the death of a spouse or partner affects your head, heart, and spirit. Confusion, disorientation, fear, guilt, relief, and anger are just a few of the emotions you may feel. Don't be overwhelmed if you suddenly experience periods of pain or grief that seem to come out of nowhere. I used to call that the grief monster. Just whoop, arr. Sorry. You just be in the middle. You be in the middle of a party, in the middle of a whatever, in the middle of in the middle of a laugh, and all of a sudden, you feel the tears start bubbling up in your eyes, and you're like, "Oh shit, I'm about to cry," and these people gonna think I'm crazy. These people gonna think, "Lord, I am about to bawl right in front of these people," and then you quickly be like, "Come on, excuse me, I gotta go to the bathroom." Bitch, you gotta go cry. Yes. Yes. Has happened to me plenty of times. Or you just get mad. Again, all the things, all the feelings. Allowing yourself to learn from these feelings and emotions helps you heal. You got to feel the feels. You got to and it sucks. Oh, it sucks. But you got to do it. Five, find a support system. Reach out to people who care about you and are willing to walk with you through your grief. I'm going to pause there. Any way that they can, like any way that you need, right? Like, not somebody who's going to tell you how you should be feeling at this minute or what have you, but support you with love and be there and, listen to you. Whatever you need, find a support group you might want to attend. Find a support group you might want to attend. Avoid people who are critical, judgmental, or who want to give you advice, friend. You have the right to express your grief, but you also have the right not to share. Just somebody, the support. Six, understand that grief is hard work. Boom, there it is. It's hard work, and there's no time, there's no prescription, there's no, you know, um, 13 years later, I still feel some kind of way about something at times. Like there it's hard work. Grief is emotional and physical. You feel and live through your emotions, physical and spiritual being. What? This is not, I'm sorry. You feel and lives and lives. This wasn't written very well. Sorry. This little piece right here. I'm guessing it's saying, honestly, I don't know what they're trying to say. I'm gonna read like it's written, and maybe I'm just not having an understanding. Grief is emotional and physical. You feel and live through your emotional, physical, and spiritual being. Okay, there was a S at the end of life. Very true. Yes, you feel and live through all of those things. It's very holistic. Ooh, child. Respect what your body is telling you. Treat yourself as you would a good friend. Not only respect, but listen to what your body is telling you. Listen. Seven, do things when the time is right, which is why, like, you see all that? Like, you see, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy and feeling some type of way about them forcing him into that situation. Like, what? Because how are you going to do things when the time is right, when you feel the time is right? And there are practical things you must do right away, of course, but for the most part, don't make yourself do anything until you're ready. You can make some decisions now and wait before making other decisions. Don't let others make decisions for you. Because I really think that takes away from your healing journey. If you're letting others dictate how you should feel, when you should do things, yada, 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 like what? I have a good example. I had a, I've told people this. When my late husband passed, at some point, I used to watch hoarders. So I had this fear of becoming a hoarder because I don't know if you watch, it's always like when something traumatic happens in the person's life and they have a really good story of why they just started keeping things. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to become a hoarder. So I got rid of things really quickly. Sometimes I do regret that, but that was because of my fear of I'm going to be a hoarder. And then there's other people who don't get rid of things really quickly. I'm talking about like just things in the house or whatever. But it has to be at your own pace. And there might be completely different reasons for why you do things the way that you do. And eight, celebrate the memory of your spouse or partner. The times you will miss your partner most are the special days the two of you shared. Since pain and loss can be greater during those times, it might help to be with someone else. Share your memories with friends if you wish, but continue to honor the life you and your partner or spouse shared by keeping a special place in your heart to celebrate and cherish your memories of togetherness, which is also why I was so bothered by that scene, because that was a special thing with him, his wife, and the kids and the family. And like, I get it. You the girlfriend, you getting close, and you worked with his family to do this, but if I wasn't ready and you put me in this situation, that would just irk me. And then I wouldn't be honest because I'd definitely be faking the funk. But deep down, so I was irked for this fictional character in this fictional space. Why? Because it transcends that. Art imitates life. And I've talked with people where they sometimes feel like you're in a place that you shouldn't be. You should be further along in your healing process. Oh, it's been this long. I mean, I used to get it, it was maybe 6 months, 8 months. I used to get, you not looking for another husband? Ma'am, sir, excuse me? I mean, also, so I was just really bothered by that whole scene. But I will be posting the article because I think it's a really good article. It's a really good reminder. And also it's kind of like transcend beyond just your spouse as well. There was some, and there was another one that was really more general, but since I was specifically talking about widower, loss of a significant other, a spouse, etc., that's why I chose this article. But honestly, it can transcend. It can be go to the loss of a just a loved one or what have you. Anyway, I am watching Alex Cross. I'm on the fifth episode. It's really good. If you're not watching it, you should watch it. Um, if you have experienced the love of a the loss of a loved one, I suggest you join a support group. There are online support groups. Look for your local hospice organization. They have support groups. They're a great resource. And this is one of the key moments that you can let stress overtake yourself. So please pause, take some time to take yourself and just work hard on your healing journey. And don't let anyone tell you how you should be feeling. Point blank. Remember to live light, stress well, spread the word. If you really like this, share it, like it. I'm on all social media platforms except Twitter, X, whatever the heck it's called. I'm not on there. I might be, but I'm not posting. So, but all other platforms at lightv.com, LITEV.com, a drop of happy on all streaming platforms. So please take some time to share and listen. And again, we just talk about entertainment stuff and stress management tips and health and wellness stuff too. So come back now. You hear?